On this Friday night, tracking Hurricane Lane, the slow-moving, heavy storm that's been hitting Hawaii hard. We'll show you the damage and the frayed nerves caused by huge rains and flooding. And we'll catch up with Canadians caught in what's usually a weather paradise. A shocking change for a place that's almost never hit like this. Also tonight, more troubling news for the U.S. president as the immunity deals for his inner circle keep coming. This time, it's the top financial executive of the Trump organization, bringing investigators closer to its core. As the saying goes, follow the money. This is The National. A storm like this is a very rare thing in Hawaii, but this is what people woke up to on the Big Island today. Some areas there have already seen almost a meter of rainfall, which is an incredible amount of water. Take a look. This is Rainbow Falls near the town of Hilo a couple of days ago. And this is what it looks like now. People in some of the hardest hit neighborhoods have already been told to get out before it's too late. Lane is causing intense flash flooding and landslides, and conditions are expected to get worse as the night goes on. This is a live shot of Honolulu, which is 6 hours behind Eastern time, so there's still quite a bit of daylight left, and you can see how rough the water looks. Lane now passing dangerously close. And just to give you an idea of how enormous this storm really is, this is what Lane looked like this morning as a Category 3 hurricane. Now, fortunately, it's been getting weaker, downgrading in strength. But make no mistake, it is still packing a punch. Some parts of Hawaii could see winds up to 140 kilometers an hour, storm surges more than a meter above normal tides, and of course, more torrential rain. Officials are telling people to shelter in place tonight. And as Anita Bath explains, that includes thousands of tourists, including Canadians.
For Canadians hunkered down in Hawaii, it's a waiting game.
There's just debris everywhere for now, and this is just the start.
British Columbian Jackson Schaefer has stocked up on supplies.
We have about 4 flats of water. Our neighbors that left gave us all of the food they had, which was very generous of them. And our bathtubs are filled with water.
Long lines at grocery stores are the norm as everyone preps.
There was hardly any bread there, and it looked like they were getting low on water, but people were definitely stocking up.
The Smith family from Alberta goes to bed waiting each night for the storm to hit.
We're getting impatient now, but more than anything. But yeah, a little bit concerned. I mean, we've never gone through a hurricane before.
There are nearly 300,000 tourists currently visiting the state. Flights back to Canada have been canceled until at least tomorrow.
It's mostly, the wind and the rain and the high volumes of this that we do want to avoid.
WestJet and Air Canada had recovery flights yesterday, bringing back as many people as possible.
They called us around 6:30 in the evening last night to say, listen, we have this special flight that we're laying on. Can you be at the airport in about 2 hours?
Rob Cottingham and his family scrambled, wrapping up the boxes of supplies they bought days before.
Cooling towel, food, little hot pot. And as the plane took off, we passed through a layer of something. Don't know if it was heavy rain or hail, but there was a lot of thumping on the outside of the aircraft.
Cottingham is happy to be safe. Not everyone is so lucky.
The lights have been flickering a bit, but we still have power. I've heard that there's areas around us that have lost power completely, and they're still trying to get that back.
In the meantime, it's watch and see. Residents and travelers alike hoping this is the worst of it. Anita Bath, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now, one Hawaii resident has been shooting and posting videos of the scene where he lives. We reached out, and he's tonight's witness.
Hey guys, this is Jonathan Correa from Hilo, Hawaii. Just started raining again. This is the Wailuku River. Currently standing on the Singing Bridge, is what we call it here in Hilo. It leads to the Hamakua coast over there. What motivated me to take the drone footage? Pretty much, there wasn't a lot of people down there at the time. And, we are tourist-driven with the lava that's happened and the past floods in Hawaii. I think it's kind of been rough for us. So just to get something out there and let the news agencies take it and share it. Maybe to just give us some exposure You know, it is a beautiful place, and like my dad, Hank, has always said, you don't get lush, you know, look at this, trees everywhere. You can't get lush paradise without a little bit of rain.
Well, let's bring in meteorologist Johanna Wagstaff, who's been tracking this storm for us. So, Joe, can you walk us through the next 24 hours?
Well, Andrew, Lane is continuing to weaken, but that's doing little to slow the impact that it'll have on the islands as it makes its closest approach overnight into Saturday morning. And in fact, as it's getting torn up, it's actually slowing the storm down. So that's enhancing the risk for extended rainfall. In fact, colossal rainfall totals not out of the question, Andrew, and neither is a landfall. Still a lot of uncertainty in this track.
And Joe, how ready were people for a storm of this magnitude?
Well, Andrew, we've been watching this storm for well over a week. Officials have been preparing Hawaii for a marathon event, and Hawaii is a place that does get prepared for natural disasters. They're so isolated, they have to be ready to be without food or water or outside aid for days or weeks on end. Despite that, this storm is unprecedented. We've only seen a handful of hurricanes this strong come this close to the Hawaiian Islands. And as I mentioned, the track is so unusual and there's so much uncertainty in it. Anything can happen over the next 24 hours, Andrew.
All right, Johanna Wagstaff, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, here's what else we're working on tonight on The National. As Maxime Bernier gives his first interview since announcing his intention to start a new political party, Catherine Cullen takes us to the Conservative Convention in Halifax, where unity is the magic word. And it's a special day for the people of Humboldt. Lord Stanley's Cup makes a special stop in a town that is still healing from April's tragedy. But first, another Donald Trump confidant opens up to federal investigators. The latest in an eventful week for all the president's men. Two former members of Trump's inner circle crash and burn in federal court, while two other close personal associates take deals to save themselves. Here's how the week unfolded. Tuesday, Paul Manafort was convicted on 8 counts, all financial crimes. And within minutes, Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to 8 criminal charges of his own. Yesterday, we learned that Trump's longtime friend and business ally, National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, took an immunity deal to share what he knows. And today, we learned that Alan Weisselberg, the Trump Organization's longtime chief financial officer, did the same, bringing investigators right inside the president's business. Weisselberg is considered by many to be the ultimate Trump insider, privy to the innermost workings of Trump's businesses. If there are dodgy dealings, he'd know about them. Now, it's not clear what Weisselberg has agreed to in return for immunity, but the deal's making a lot of Trump loyalists very nervous. Keith Bogue joins us now. And Keith, this is not a small thing.
Andrew, you know, for months now, we've heard that when it comes to Donald Trump's business dealings, the guy who knows where all the bodies are buried is his former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen. The same Michael Cohen who was convicted this week of tax fraud, bank fraud, and campaign finance violations. But the truth is that it's really Alan Weisselberg who knows more about the Trump business than anyone in the world, not actually named Trump.
Replacing George this week is my chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg.
Back in his reality TV days, Trump would sometimes invite Alan Weisselberg to his show, The Apprentice, to be a judge. He's never had much of a speaking part in the greater scheme of things, but he has for many years been the most senior executive in the Trump Organization, other than members of Trump's family. He started out as an accountant for the company when it was owned by the president's father, Fred Trump, in the 1970s. Now, he's not only the chief financial officer, but one of just 2 trustees of the Trump Organization, and the other is Donald Trump Jr.
When it comes time for the financing, which will be...
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay with cash.
No. I got... No.
His name comes up in this tape-recorded conversation between Michael Cohen and the president as they discuss what is apparently a hush money payment to a woman who claims to have had an affair with Trump. That's what led in part to Cohen's conviction this week.
And I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up.
Weisselberg's immunity deal was reportedly triggered by his cooperation in the Cohen investigation, but he could have much more to talk about with investigators than just that, Andrew.
Right. And so, Keith, talk to me about the scope of the immunity. Does it protect Weisselberg from prosecution for all crimes he might have been involved with?
Well, we don't know because we don't know the details of the immunity agreement. It's possible he could have immunity for any crimes he has knowledge of. And in that case, it would be a tremendous incentive for him to tell everything, to answer questions he hasn't even been asked. What we do know is that giving immunity to Weisselberg means that investigators are more interested in what he knows about other people than they are in putting him in jail.
But if not Weisselberg, then who might they be really interested in?
Okay, again, we don't know, but it wouldn't make sense for investigators to give Weisselberg immunity so they can go after smaller fish. They must want bigger fish, and the obvious bigger fish are the Trump family and the president himself.
Keith Bogue in Washington, thanks very much.
Thank you.
We have an update to share with you tonight on the health of one of the U.S. president's most vocal critics, 81-year-old Republican Senator John McCain. He's been battling an aggressive form of brain cancer for more than a year now and has been away from Washington since December. Well, in a statement, his family wrote, "John has surpassed expectations for his survival, but the progress of disease and the inexorable advance of age render their verdict. With his usual strength of will, he has now chosen to discontinue medical treatment." They went on to thank McCain's caregivers and his many supporters. Well, politics in this country have been dominated by Maxime Bernier's sudden break from the Conservative Party yesterday on the eve of its national convention. Well, today, Bernier took his pitch to Power in Politics' Vashi Kapelos.
I'm saying to conservative, if you want to win the next election, if you want to win with real conservative ideas, come and join us, be with us. But also not only conservative, 20% of the population didn't vote at the last election. People who are fed up and they don't vote. So these people, I'm telling to them, I'm doing politics differently.
Conservative leader Andrew Scheer, on the other hand, is looking to take back the spotlight tonight and put Bernier behind him, but that's maybe easier said than done. Catherine Cullen takes us to the convention floor, where Scheer's once again rival still looms large.
And by the way, that little weather system that passed over here yesterday, it has gone. That hurricane has left the building.
That would be Hurricane Max, and the Conservatives are trying to blow him off as quickly as they can.
It's time to move forward. What happened, and hoping for the, glory days for Conservative Party.
It's a tough situation. We wish Mr. Bernier well. However, I think now is the time that we need to be unified as a party and to go forward.
You think he represents a threat to the Conservative Party of Canada?
I don't believe so.
But not everyone here is so quick to dismiss Maxime Bernier. Already at odds with the party over not being able to run in the next election, former Cabinet Minister Stephen Fletcher points to the leadership results as a sign Bernier's support runs deep.
Maxime has a lot of credibility when he speaks about the issues that he raises, because those are issues that affect Canadians in every case.
But when Andrew Scheer spoke to Conservative faithful tonight, Bernier's name didn't come up once in a 55-minute-long speech.
We certainly are one big, strong, united National Conservative Party.
He did, however, address some of the topics Bernier has glommed onto, like the City of Victoria's decision to remove a statue of Conservative Prime Minister Sir John A. Macdonald. Scheer raised Liberal Prime Minister Mackenzie King's attitude towards Jewish refugees fleeing Nazi Germany.
Will the Liberals work to take his face off the $50 bill? No. But you can see how divisive this approach is, how destructive this is to our Canadian identity.
All while Bernier looks for a name for his new party and even says he could become Prime Minister next year. As inspiration, the man too conservative for the Conservatives cites former socialist Emmanuel Macron.
He decided to quit the party and forming his own party, as now he's a president of France. So everything is possible. Everything is possible with ideas. I'm not popular. Ideas are popular.
The Conservatives are certainly hoping Bernier isn't popular and that they can keep the focus on their ideas and turn the page on this fight. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, the most coveted trophy in Canada arrived in Humboldt, Saskatchewan today, fulfilling a promise by a Saskatoon-born hockey hero.
You can touch it if you want.
That's a dream come true, right? Chandler Stevenson plays for the Washington Capitals and swore to bring the Stanley Cup to Humboldt if his team won the championship back in the spring. Today, he made good. Stevenson played junior hockey in Saskatchewan before joining the Caps and once played alongside Caleb Dahlgren and Braden Kamrud, both of whom survived that terrible crash back in April. Now, the Cup being there means a lot to folks in Humboldt. Our Olivia Stefanovic has more on how the town is healing, how the team is rebuilding, and how a coach's widow is coping.
It's every hockey fan's dream to meet NHLers and see the sacred cup. But Canadians everywhere can agree that this stop this summer is special.
I really believe that they want to go out and play hockey, play their hearts out for everybody that was 29, and I think it's something that just is really, really important to the youth in our community.
More than 15 NHLers are kicking off the Humboldt Broncos training camp. While a fresh sheet of ice is laid for the new roster, old values instilled by former head coach Darcy Hogan remain.
He would take a less skilled player over a quality kid, community-minded, with good attitude, all that stuff. He would take that any day over the most skilled player that didn't have those attributes, right?
Darcy was one of 16 killed in April's team bus crash with a semi-trailer on the way to a playoff game.
People have said over and over what an incredible group of kids was on that bus. Like every single kid on that bus was an incredible human being, because that was the culture that he designed and he expected.
He and his wife Christina poured all their energy into the Broncos.
That's how he would stand, like authoritative, like, yeah.
He was a very quiet coach. He did not say much. He always believed that you did your coaching during practice, and once the game started, you let them play.
Now Christina has decided to step back from her role as office manager with the team and watch the game from the stands.
It's so different this year to start with, and then just having Darcy not be a part of it. When he ran it and I was running the office and doing that, we were both very, very involved.
The new players and coaches have a lot of work to do to prepare for the season opener.
Once September 12 hits, then it's go time.
But Darcy's core covenant has been painted on the walls of the Elgar Peterson Arena, immortalized. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Humboldt, Saskatchewan.
And let's catch you up on some of the other stories we're tracking live tonight, starting with a Coast Guard operation underway in Canada's north. It's deployed crews to help a cruise ship that ran aground in Nunavut. According to the Coast Guard, it happened near the community of Kugaruk. The ship involved is operated by the company One Ocean Expeditions, and it has a capacity of 161 people. Now, we don't know how many people are actually on board, but the company says all passengers are safe, and the ship itself is reportedly in okay shape. 2 icebreakers are en route.
The U.S.-Mexican issues inside NAFTA are really complicated. We welcome the fact that the U.S. and Mexico are rolling up their sleeves and devoting a lot of time to resolving those issues. That's a good thing for the U.S. and Mexico, and it's a good thing for Canada.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister with some reassuring words. She says Canada will be back at the NAFTA negotiating table after the U.S. and Mexico sort out their differences, and that the U.S. and Mexico are still committed to a 3-way deal that includes Canada. And still ahead on The National, check out what happens when one of the world's most popular gun makers designs an electric car. Chris Brown shows us Kalashnikov's answer to Tesla. Plus, why all blood could be universal type O negative in a few years. We'll take you inside the scientific advances that are changing the donation game and staying behind to fight the fires. Karen Pauls goes inside the evacuation zone in BC.
I am worried about my community. It is a big fire. It's scary.
Ever stop to ask yourself why that Sudoku app you just downloaded needs access to your camera or your photos?
Today, we're going to talk about privacy and your smartphone. Weird permissions? Just say no. If a flashlight app is asking for access to your location, ask yourself, why? When an app asks for permissions, it should clearly state what it needs access to and what it hopes to use that information for. And if you do grant an app access to your microphone or your camera or some other privacy setting, you can always turn that information off later on in your phone settings. You're downloading from where? Unless you really know what you're doing, you should never install apps that don't come from Google's App Store or Apple's App Store. They work hard to keep shady apps out. Often, installing apps from unreliable sources requires you to disable security settings that are there to keep you and your data safe. Turn it off. If you're not at home and you're not using your Wi-Fi or your Bluetooth, it's probably a good idea to turn those settings off. One reason is that everyone from coffee shops to clothing stores can use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth signals to track you and your phone, even if you're not connected to their network. If you're out and about, try and avoid open wireless networks. They may be free for anyone to use, but they can also be abused. If I was a malicious attacker, I could set up my own wireless network called Starbucks. And if you were at the coffee shop, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between either of them. So if you connected to my network, I would be able to eavesdrop on the things you do online. If you do need to connect to a public Wi-Fi network, consider using a VPN. It'll protect your connection from nearby snoops from watching what you browse or other activities online. Don't click that link. Don't do it. You wouldn't open a strange link on your computer, so don't do it on your phone. Attackers have been known to use text messages and instant messages to try to pull off so-called phishing attacks. And in some cases, they can even make the messages sound like they come from family or friends. So be smart about the links and attachments you open, even if you know who they're from. Update your phone now, right now. Pause the video, go away, do it now. Come back when you're done. Thank you. Software updates plug holes, squash bugs, and keep your phone secure. Once a bug becomes public, attackers can use it to do everything from steal passwords to hold your phone hostage for ransom.
It was big before, but the Alkali Lake fire near Telegraph Creek in British Columbia is now a monster. It's merged with 3 smaller wildfires, swelling to more than 1,100 square kilometers in the process. That makes it one of the biggest fires in the entire province. But northwest of there, right smack in the middle of BC, another inferno rages at Shovel Lake. Thousands of people have fled, but some have defied evacuation orders, risking their lives to protect their homes. Karen Pauls is there.
My house is just below the mountain there, behind that church steeple.
Miranda Louie is one of the people who have stayed behind despite an evacuation order to help protect homes from the Shovel Lake fire.
Pretty worried, but you know, I have a lot of faith in our firefighters.
Water trucks stopped to fill up in the river before heading back to the front lines. Louis says their traditional territory is being ravaged by flames.
That's our food. That's our way. That's the way we feed our families throughout the winter, and it's all being burned right now.
If it looks bad from the ground, it's even worse from the air. Crews are trying to save about 150 homes on the north shore of Fraser Lake. You can see flames as close as 200 meters from the houses.
300 people on this particular fire and 138 pieces of equipment.
Crews have burned fire guards to deprive the fire of fuel.
Get people back to their houses. That's our biggest goal, is to get people back in. I think we're winning more than we're losing.
Grand Chief Edward John is here to see the damage. He says more needs to be done to plan ahead and prevent fires and to protect communities when they happen.
First Nations make up 5% of the Canadian population. At least 50% of all evacuees from disasters are Aboriginal peoples, First Nations peoples. So we're impacted in a lot greater way than many other people.
This is the second year in a row of devastating wildfires. It's why Noel Ketlow stayed behind to fight it.
I am worried about my community. It is a big fire. It's scary. You know, I mean, we have elders and children that are gone to safer places.
As the day ends, tired firefighters return to camp for dinner. It's been a long day, and they'll be back at it again tomorrow. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Noddlewood First Nation, BC.
Now, we are also keeping an eye on an American wildfire that has people in Canada on alert. The fire in Montana's Glacier National Park is fast growing and out of control. And right across the border is Alberta's Waterton Lakes National Park.
We just want people to be prepared, have a bag ready with the essentials in case we do have to ask them to leave.
Parks Canada deployed helicopters and fire crews today, just in case. And next on The National, a story of two sisters orphaned and separated by revolution. Their emotional fight to be reunited in our special CBC short doc. Plus, you know his voice.
Hi, I'm Robin Leach, your host on romps to palatial playgrounds around the world. From local landmarks to the world's most lavish estates, you'll see it all.
Robin Leach forever changed celebrity journalism when he took his viewers inside the lifestyles of the rich and famous. We'll take a closer look at his legacy just ahead.
One of the things I really enjoy about walking into these mall outlets is, all of the light, all of the flashy advertisement, these signs and everything. But when I walk through these stores, it's not very often that I just go in, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to look for a shirt. It's not as fun as it used to be when you started to look at the psychology of consumerism. My name is Ursula Johnson, and I'm an interdisciplinary artist based out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. With this work for the Winnipeg Art Gallery, I really wanted to focus on the idea of the conversations that have happened already, initiated by Indigenous female performance artists. Shelley Nero, Rebecca Belmore, Laurie Blondeau, and Cheryl Rondell, for instance. And I thought, well, what if we play with that idea of fashion photography with regards to consuming the female body? There has always been this, this notion of the exoticized Indigenous female body. When Disney came out with Pocahontas, she was this beautiful, glossy, young Indigenous woman that's she can sing, she's beautiful, she speaks with the tree. So it was this notion of stereotype perpetuation. But if you looked at the actual structure of her body, in that animation, it was very, kind of this Barbie doll-like body where it was nobody really looks like that. I commissioned a local photographer in Halifax by the name of Steve Farmer, and I went shopping. And they would ask me, can I help you with something? I'd say, actually you can. I'm wondering if you have anything Indian in your store. Something appropriated from Native American culture, maybe something with beads, feathers, and fringes. And then I held a little fashion shoot. And then I took text that I had requested from those 4 Indigenous female performance artists. I asked them to write a response to kind of the topic of the commodified Indigenous female body. And so some of the quotes that they gave me were maybe memories they had from conversations with people, or some of them were their own words of trying to break down those notions of those stereotypes. So I was looking at the notion of that space between the text of these words of these Indigenous female artists and then my body. And so that was where the title Between My Body and Their Words came for this commission for the Winnipeg Art Gallery. Looking at those ideas of consuming this female body, especially at this time when we're experiencing a national crisis with regards to Indigenous women who are missing and murdered all across this country and other countries all over the world as well. There's not any real super engaging critical conversations. Nobody thinks about that because it's the Indigenous body who has been kind of pushed aside and brushed under the rug as, the role of the, well, you're supposed to be here and, not be seen or not be heard type of thing, unless we want to sexualize your body, then we'll put you at the forefront.
short doc tonight tells the story of two sisters and a bond that is unshakable. Vika and Irina have been separated for 4 years. They were orphaned during the Ukrainian Revolution. 10-year-old Irina was adopted by a family in Canada. Vika had to stay behind at a rural boarding school. And now, at 17, she's about to strike out on her own. Their ultimate goal is to be reunited in Canada. But before Vika can move, she has to navigate a difficult life in Ukraine. Here's a look at an extraordinary long-distance relationship.
Меня слышишь, видишь?
Да, слышу, вижу. А ты меня слышишь, видишь?
Да.
Как ты отдохнула?
Хорошо.
А где вы именно отдыхали? В океане? На океане на каком?
Я не знаю, просто купалась и отдыхала. А гимн Канады ты знаешь?
Нет.
Это песня гимн Канады.
Я слышала его вот недавно, этим летом, когда была в Карпатах, но я его не знаю.
Мы в школе каждый божий день, каждое божье утро поем гимн Канады.
Серьезно? Это как гимн Украины мы поем.
А спой гимн Украины.
Да давай потом.
Я тогда за тебя спою гимн Канады.
Давай.
Oh, Canada, our home and excellent, true patriot, and all songs Scotland.
Супер.
У меня голос ужасный.
У меня тоже, в принципе, мы, наверное, родственники. Я тоже так пою. Тяжко відчувати, коли ти чуєш, що в тебе там, десь за океаном, за тисячами кілометрів є рідна, близька тобі людина. І ти її не можеш побачити, коли ти захочеш сьогодні або завтра. Ти взагалі її не можеш бачити багато років. То таке відчуття болю, страждання. Що ти сидиш, дивишся на фотографії, то ти вже навіть плакати не можеш. Ти тільки думаєш, швидше вже ти не подорослішала, щоб побачити її десь, обійняти хочеться. То дуже тяжко.
Два, три, чотири. Раз, два, три, чотири. Раз, два, три, чотири.
Після смерті моєї мами мою сестру забрали спочатку до лікарні, але в школу вже її не приймали, тому що зараз немає такої. Зараз дитину в сім'ю треба.
Старайся, молодець!
Жіночка знайшлася, вона з Кривого Рогу, дуже гарна, знаєш, і вона запропонувала взяти Ірину під опіку.
Молодець! Поїхали!
And then when I saw her, I was just like in love, like for the first second. It was like boom. She looked like me in a childhood.
Ничего, мы сейчас все соберем и заново сделаем, Мариш.
Then I saw Vika and I was kind of, maybe that's right to take them both, but how can I afford it financially? How can I do it? Vika is already grown up. Family feeling was so strong inside her, you know? That's what I said, Vika, you always have to keep this feeling, like family feeling. You have to always fight for your family, whatever is left. And then I told her, Vika, don't worry, you're gonna be in touch. We're always gonna be in touch.
И по ней скучаю. Я очень хочу, чтобы она приехала сюда, в Канаду.
Это вообще класс. Очень красиво. Молодец. Главное, что ты похожа на себя, и Вика похожа на себя. Вика, ну как что хочешь ты написать? Я по тебе скучаю. Очень хорошо. Очень. Сердечки. Послание Вики соорудили быстренько. Фотографии отсылаю.
В школі є це мій останній рік. Для мене то дуже тяжкий період. То вже буде близько, знаєш, біля останнього дзвоника, то я буду вже розуміти, що треба збирати речі, тому що тебе вже тут не будуть приймати як рідну. Тебе виставлять за двері і скажуть, іди в доросле життя. У мене є мета, знаєш, закінчити університет, поїхати до своєї сестри там в майбутньому, знайти роботу, бути комусь потрібною, знайти, може, знаєш, там сім'ю, щоб в мене була, моя сім'я, знайти себе взагалі.
Дотянуться. Нет, она слишком высоко.
Высоко, ты можешь стать туда, на носок. На носок.
Yay, I'm tall enough to touch it. Я почти что дотронулась. Да. Я дотронулась.
Я раніше думала, що я зробила погано там, що я відпустила Аріну так далеко в Канаду, за кордон. І я думала, що я така погана сестра, як я могла так чинити, але я думаю, краще жити в сім'ї, а тим паче це за кордоном. Вона багато чого вміє зараз, вона вже багато де була, вона відпочиває на різних морях там, і в неї багато друзів, вона вивчила іншу мову. З неї буде, я думаю, гарна людина.
Yellow snapper. Черепаха! Какая большая, размером чья. Смотрите, зубы! У акулы зубы.
She knows she can swim, she can skate, she can ski, she can rollerblade. She has birthday parties like, it's like in American Wonderland. Can you imagine, could she have anything like that in Ukraine? But it's all material thing. The main thing, she has family.
Настоящий яблочный пирог. Который испечет бабушка.
Нажимай. Тише.
Happy birthday to you. Make your wish. Загадала желание? Загадала? Давай.
Мои шапки не видно.
Все, что ты будешь делать дальше, все, что ты захочешь делать дальше, ты имеешь рядом маму, папу, бабушку и Андрюшу. И это, наверное, самое большое и ценное счастье в твоей жизни. Да, Мась? И сейчас мы еще Вике позвоним.
Привет.
Всего самого лучшего. Хочу, чтобы ты хорошо закончила школу. Слушай маму и папу, хорошо?
Да.
Ариш,
Да.
я тебя очень люблю и скучаю за тобой.
Now, there have been a couple of developments since that documentary was completed. In May, there was this. So Vika was granted a short-term visa to come to Canada when the film premiered at Toronto's Hot Docs, and she was reunited with her little sister. After sharing her story with the world, Vika says it's like a weight has been lifted off her shoulders. But I will say that reunion was temporary. Vika has since gone back to Ukraine and is studying to be a hairdresser. She dreams of coming back on a permanent basis. To watch the full, longer version of Vika, head on over to cbc.ca/shortdocs. There you'll also find more documentaries by emerging filmmakers from right across Canada. And still ahead on The National, people with O-negative blood. No, they're in high demand from Canadian Blood Services.
I have O-negative blood. They call me when they have a shortage. I come.
But new research means that guy might get a break in a few years. How scientists are figuring out how to change blood cells. Coming up.
If doing math in real life makes you anxious, you're not alone. Math anxiety is a real thing, and here's what it's actually doing to your brain. Experts say that math anxiety is the urge to avoid numbers. It's seen in children as young as 6, and it plagues more girls than boys. But it's not just an aversion to numbers. It turns out that math anxiety could actually hijack your brain.
I'm Erin Maloney, and I'm a professor at the University of Ottawa. I study cognitive and emotional factors that can relate to achievement in mathematics. Researchers have used what's called fMRI, or functional magnetic resonance imaging. What we can see is that for people who are really anxious about math, they have activation both in the areas of the brain that are sort of responsible for mathematical processing, but also areas of the brain that are responsible for fear responses. So in some ways, for these individuals who are really anxious about math, their neural activation patterns look similar to someone who would, say, have a spider phobia.
So it's like your brain trying to solve two problems at the same time, anxiety and geometry. And that extra toll on the brain can cause a lot of students to underperform in math class. But the problem just doesn't exist with students. Research shows there are high levels of math anxiety with elementary school teachers and parents too, and that could rub off on the students, especially when they're trying to teach them about math or when parents are helping their kids with homework. So how do we solve this problem? Well, experts say that we need to stop with the stereotypes about math.
Often, people who are really anxious about math will endorse stereotypes about math. So for example, they'll endorse the stereotype that some people just aren't math people. And I think that's simply just not true. So while math might come a little bit more easily to some people, what we know is that if you work hard and with the right instruction and the right mindset, really pretty much everyone can learn math. So in terms of actually strategies that we can use to address the anxiety, we've seen things like focused breathing, so mindfulness type activities that really help the students sort of decrease their anxiety before the test.
So the next time the waiter hands you a bill and you don't know how much to tip, don't fret. Try relaxing, and that way you could tackle the problem with a clear mind.
Welcome back. Final preparations are underway in Dublin today, ahead of this weekend's visit by Pope Francis. It's the first papal visit to Ireland in nearly 40 years, and reception this time around is expected to be cool. Not only has the Church's influence in Ireland waned, but there is anger over the Vatican's handling of sex abuse scandals.
Dr. Frieden, anything you want to say?
And one of the top U.S. public health experts was in handcuffs today after being charged with sexual abuse. Thomas Frieden, the former director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is accused by a woman of grabbing her without permission. He did not enter pleas today on his 3 charges: forcible touching, sex abuse, and harassment. Well, let's turn to an ever-present need across this country. Last week, Canadian Blood Services put out an urgent call for blood donations, especially from those who are type O negative, since in an emergency, theirs is compatible with all others. Well, this week, researchers in BC announced they could be one step closer to helping make all blood universal. Christine Burak explains just how they might do it.
Would you happen to know what blood type you are?
B+.
B positive.
It's definitely in you to give, but if you need blood, it has to be the right type. Otherwise, your body will reject it.
Do you know what blood type you are?
Yeah, O positive.
Most people are. O is considered universal blood. It can be given to virtually anyone, so it's often in short supply. But Canadian scientists think they've found a way to efficiently convert other blood types into O.
People are surprised because it sounds odd. They think that we're changing the blood type of an individual, which would be a lot more scary. But we're only changing the type of the blood that's being taken from that individual.
Different blood types have different sugars stuck to the outside of their cells, except O. So scientists have isolated specialized enzymes found in our gut bacteria and used them to eat the sugars off the surface of non-O blood cells, essentially transforming them into type O. They've tried this before with similar enzymes, but those work too slowly, making the process too expensive.
When we did a side-by-side test of the already existing best candidate, along with ours, using the two of them side by side, we found that ours worked 30 times faster.
The cells are starting to clump on the left-hand side. So that's a blood type A.
At Canadian Blood Services, the goal is to save lives. Scientists here are excited at the prospect of having more universal blood.
This is where modern science is taking us in transfusion medicine and blood products, is actually we now understand enough about these cells to be able to make the blood product better for patients to get a better transfusion outcome.
While it wouldn't eliminate the need for donated blood, doctors and paramedics would no longer need to match donors with patients in emergency situations, which would undoubtedly save lives. But scientists say they're not there yet.
I think it's great if it actually comes to fruition, but you know, at this point, I have O negative blood. They call me when they have a shortage. I come.
Researchers still need to conduct clinical trials, but say blood conversion could become a reality in as little as 5 years. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, we have an update on that recent appeal from Canadian Blood Services. It seems to have been quite successful. The target was 22,000 donations by this Sunday, ahead of the Labor Day weekend. And they say Canadians have generously answered that call, and they're now just 1,500 donors away from reaching the goal. Next on The National, the electric car designed by Kalashnikov. Chris Brown will take us to the showroom floor. And don't forget, The National today takes you inside our journalism every afternoon. That's our newsletter, going deeper on the top stories and, hey, highlighting the stories you may have missed. Today, Mike Pence's plan to put man on the moon again and stay there. Breaking down the U.S.'s plan for a moon base. Subscribe to our newsletter at cbcnews.ca/thenational.
And over on the someplace else side, maybe you'll find you somebody else, which is plenty to worry about, even if you happen to feel pretty good at the time.
But you live in a town, any town, and you spend most of your time as if you know what it's all about. You know where you're going, when really you don't know, because it's the town that's going, and you're just along for the ride.
Where you gonna run to?
The very sleek and very fast Tesla Roadster. The electric sports car is said to be capable of going from 0 to 100 in less than 2 seconds. Elon Musk's dream that his company's cars would fill North American roads. But at the other end of the electric car spectrum, there's a very different vision. Nowhere near as sleek as the Tesla, nowhere near as fast, but with a rather menacing pedigree. That's because it's made by the same company behind one of the world's most notorious and ubiquitous weapons. But as Chris Brown explains, they're not just about guns anymore.
Well, you're looking at people taking aim and pulling the trigger on AK-47 assault rifles. We're at Russia's largest military trade fair, and we're going to show you what's actually the biggest thing making news at this year's show. And it's not actually even a weapon. It's this pale blue car. It's called the CV1, and it's Russia's first entry in the electric car race. We don't know much about it in terms of how much it's going to cost. They're not saying, but we're only told that it will go 300 kilometers on one charge, and it will go from 0 to 100 in about 6 seconds. Now, one of the things that makes this car so interesting is who makes it. And that is, it's the same people that make those assault rifles, the legendary Russian arms manufacturer Kalashnikov. Now, they've been branching out over the years. They're not just about guns anymore. They're also making sporting equipment, camping equipment, all kinds of other vehicles, and now also cars. Reaction from Russians to this new entry has been a little bit mixed. Some people like the kind of retro Soviet design. Others on social media are saying, you got to stick to what you do best, and that's make guns. Also interesting, some of the marketing on this really going on that this is the thing that's going to take down Tesla. This can beat Tesla's electric car. Lots of hyperbole for now. Obviously, they're brand new at all of this. Don't expect to be able to buy one of these in Canada anytime soon, though. Kalashnikov is on a long list of Russian entities that have been sanctioned by the Canadian government because of the very frosty relations with the Putin government. Chris Brown, CBC News in Moscow.
Okay, next on The National, our moment of the day in which a dedicated BBC radio reporter keeps calm and carries on despite getting tangled up in the story, literally.
The latest forecast suggests the eye will skirt the Big Island in around 12 hours' time before brushing past Maui on its way to Oahu.
But first, before TMZ, Perez, Hilton, and Gawker, there was Robin Leach. The British gossip guru died today in Las Vegas at the age of 76. But in the 1980s, it was his show and that voice that crystallized the opulence of celebrity life.
You're cordially invited for a regal tour of exotic Malaysia with gorgeous Morgan Brittany on our next VIP edition.
The London-born Leach began his career in newspapers and after moving to the US in the 60s, joined the fledgling CNN and the team that launched Entertainment Tonight. Lifestyles of the rich and famous evolved from that. Every week, for more than a decade, Leach would give frenzied descriptions of yachts, mansions, and private jets. The more outrageous, the better.
We take you right up the front drive, and then we kick the front door open and we say, and this is $1 million lobby.
The host became as rich and as famous as the people he interviewed.
Vroom, vroom.
He also wasn't above poking fun at himself, as he did for Bill Nye, the Science Guy.
Welcome to another edition of Lifestyles of the Large and Extinct.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous ended in 1995, but his sign-off phrase lives on as a cultural touchstone.
Robin Leach with champagne wishes and caviar dreams.
I think everything. There's 3 different locations. There's 4 different voices.
it'll be live all the time, which I know lots of people think that was the case, but it will be live all the time. So we'll be able to blow things up and just go live if something is happening in the world.
You're likely not going to see 4 people in a studio every single night, because that's not what this is about. This is a chance for us to let stories be win the day. And so that means a lot of us are going to be spending a lot of time in the field, and not just for breaking news or big events, but for stories, the way we've always done them. That's not going to change.
I think that it's going to be a national for the times we live in. And I mean, in part, the technology, the fact that look, I'm old enough that I remember a morning and afternoon edition of the newspaper, right? Those days are long gone. So we have a newscast that's designed for how technology allows us to see so much during the day. We have a newscast that allows us to respond to this, I mean, can I call it a hunger for real information?
As far as what I bring to the table, what I think is the beauty of this team is that we all bring a whole different range of experiences to the table, right? And different skill sets and different approaches to journalism. And so I'm one piece of that puzzle, right? One small piece.
It starts with an idea.
That light bulb moment. Saying I will.
And following a dream. It's never easy.
But nothing worth having ever is.
Will I like your idea?
Will I put my money on you?
I hope so. I hope so.
I want to. I want to.
Because I had a light bulb moment. And I know what it takes.
You said I will. I want to say, I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm in.
Dragon's Den returns September 20th on CBC. Presented by Canada Post Solutions for Small Business.
When a hurricane hits, most people take cover, but journalists, we try to get out there. That's certainly what BBC North America correspondent James Cook did when he was covering Hurricane Lane. You know the saying, if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, you're about to hear what happens when that tree falls and a radio reporter is around. Just listen to our moment of the day.
The latest forecast suggests the eye will skirt the Big Island in around 12 hours' time before brushing past Maui on its way to Oahu.
I'm all right, yeah. I'm fine. Well, that was unexpected.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sure. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm all right. Don't move it. Don't move it. I'll be easier just to climb out.
Okay,
Stand by.
right.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, it smashed my laptop.
So the laptop aside, it seems like he was okay in the end. And boy, let it never be said that journalism is not an exciting profession. And now I'm going to be looking up at the studio lights and the girders above me, hoping that it doesn't all come crashing down. It can be exciting here in the studio as well. Thanks for joining us here on the program. That's National for this Friday, August 24th. I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. Good night.